Muy buenos días.
Good morning. Good morning and welcome to this event and to this presentation of GeneXus 16. It was released just now, and it's my pleasure and my honor to introduce you with an overview of this version. GeneXus 16 came to a world of solutions towards multi-experience, where artificial intelligence is creating barriers to be used in the solutions we'll all be building. And that's why GeneXus 16 is ready. GeneXus 16, furthermore, is the successor of GeneXus 15. In these 2 years, since we released GeneXus 15 until now, GeneXus 16, it's become a product with over 500 more functionalities and improvements in relation to GeneXus 15. We started releasing them, and that's how we have GeneXus 16 right now. So 500 functionalities more than before. That's enormous. That's to go on improving, to have one improvement per day, practically. But now let's see the functionalities or the pillars of the version and what each pillar brings about when you build solutions. The first one refers to multi-experience. We're starting to build solutions. We're not only web, they're not only mobile, there are other components to them. It's chat box. Our users will have access through the wearables, through TV. They're going to be using augmented reality. So we're not thinking about web or mobile solutions or the only two ways of having access for our solutions. Each one of these channels has its own purpose. We're going to be using web for the masses, but there are other channels that are far more useful, and those are loyalty and engagement. For instance, chat boxes, chatbots. And what I want to say here is that we have to think about a comprehensive solution. A chat box won't give you an added value per se, as when it's integrated. It's truly important when it's integrated to all the solution, and all the solution is covering all these channels. That's the power of GeneXus, the possibility of building a solution that can encompass all channels. Now, to build this type of solution is highly complex. There are very many components, and as I said, each one of those components is vitally important when it is integrated to the rest. And this is what gives us the idea, or it's particularly important when there are different aspects. For instance, integration, security, and also all the generators that we're going to be using, user experience as well that we're going to be able to have with such a comprehensive solution. Taking into account all this in such a complex situation, so comprehensive, we started building GeneXus 16 so that you can build solutions on it. As I said, chatbots are an important part. Chatbots will become particularly important because on the one hand, it's using a natural language. It knows how to talk with us in the same language. It can process and understand that language through AI algorithms. It's integrated to use it naturally. It knows how to talk, how to read, how to respond to texts. But it's not only that, even more important, it responds not only with text, but with an integrated graph. And what if I can make a decision? So I have buttons in the chat, components of my own application, through which I can ask for orders to do tasks for me. So it's not just an assistant that is responding with text, but it's far richer, and it starts doing things for me. We can do that when the chatbots is integrated to the full solution. The full solution can be generated by GeneXus. Out of those chatbots, there are going to be talks about those chatbots. There's going to be an entire special track. Now, what does GeneXus do in relation to chatbots? Well, you have a new object in a knowledge base in GeneXus where you can include the flow of a conversation. It's called conversational flow objects. You can introduce the flow of the conversation, and GeneXus would generate all layers: the interface, example screens that will be useful for an UI of chatbots, the relation with the server, the programs in the server catering for that interface, and all the conversational model that is based on that diagram, and that is integrated vis-a-vis the main drivers, Watson Diaflow. And that's the other value of GeneXus. The same diagram, the same model can be trained in relation to the engine that you like the best. So those are the three pillars. This is multi-platform. You are going to be trained with the one you want. It's fully integrated to the solution, and you are working at a high level in GeneXus. Something else that I have to tell you, Sabrina Juarez and Diego Escafo will give in some talks going deeper into that. And there's also a lab of chatbots where you'll be able to experiment. There's going to be a surprise as well in those talks. Now, just imagine the system. You have chatbots, web, mobile. You have to start in some way to be coherent. You have to have a direction and coherence in all the systems that we're building, both at the entrepreneurial level for all the solutions that we create, as well as inside a solution. We have to try and have direction and coherence. That's why we have design systems. That's a group of principles, patterns, and practices that will solve that coherence problem. Now, what are we trying to do in GeneXus then? We're trying to force that coherence through the generation of code so that all the codes generated follow that design system. We already had elements in GeneXus to express that. We have patterns, pages, themes, but there are three new things that allow us to put it in a knowledge base and put that design system in that knowledge base. And I'm going to tell you how it works. Well, we have CSS frameworks and JavaScript, and the controls are the ones that you already know of, but there are some new things that I'd like to tell you about. So our designers or the external world, well, made a design. Let's say designs that are already within CSS frameworks in the world, where there are many CSS frameworks, and perhaps we're going to do the exercise now of importing an external design in GeneXus. Well, in fact, Bootstrap is a design system. It's a CSS framework on which all responsive screens are built with GeneXus. Now you can base it on you can base your design on Bootstrap or any other. Let's suppose let's take semantics UI. Lots of components, and there is a full guide as to how things should be shown. This is a guide how to show a person in a solution. Let's suppose that that's the one we like and we want to import it. Now the site of semantics UI gives us the HTML linked to that control, and it says the base plus this will give me the design of this person. So we go to GeneXus. There is a GeneXus object called user control. We copy that HTML code. It's all hard code. It says join 2013 and so on. So what do? We're going to make it dynamic with a special language taken from Mustache. We make it dynamic. We save that user control object in our knowledge base, and then the next step in our toolbox, we can drag that new control. We drag it to a panel. We put the data we want in, we execute it, and that control that is instanced is there in runtime. In this way, we are changing the order and changing the time. It is we are facilitating, and it's very easy to include external designs in GeneXus. This is a fundamental advance. Those of you who have done user control, you're going to move from weeks to days for the time that you had to use to introduce an external control. I haven't told you about the stencils. Look at these two screens. That's part of an example where we have a list of pieces of news linked to crypto coins. And there's a list of crypto coins in each one of them. That list could go on being there depending on the number of or the amount of coins. And here we have a list of the coins. Now this control is repeated everywhere. These are two different screens, and the design is repeated, but not the behavior or navigation or all the data that we have linked to those styles. So the stencil is a new object in GeneXus that allows us to separate and focus only on the design and not on all the behavior. So that's the new object. That's a new object in GeneXus. All that is focused on a better user experience. But to tell you better about what I mean by a user experience, I'd like to show you some applications in execution. Now, the flow of these apps is very important, the way they are integrated with the rest, with audio, with video, where you have animations, transitions among the screens, and they are integrated with other solutions in the device.
El mismo dispositivo.
They are integrated with the same device, and we can be integrated with components covering security, secure, Touch ID. We can, as we did, we have chat interfaces. This is a chat for autistic children, augmented reality chats through integrations, because GeneXus is extensible, animation of all kinds that you can integrate so that you can get maximum user experience. These are apps integrated in China. There are 2 billion people in China using UI Pay, and we Pay and Alipay, and they should be integrated with these two payment mechanisms. And that's what Shui was talking about earlier. And then applications with gamification and user experience are key. For instance, this contest, this game application was used for the World Cup, and that was one of the very much consulted app. This is an app for Tienda Inglesa, a large supermarket in Uruguay. But then you can say, well, this is going to take me a long time, to be so accurate in each of the details of the applications. Well, all right, it's possible, because GeneXus 16 stands on top of the functionalities of GeneXus 15, where we had already integrated the library. So that you can focus on all the details. Other components are analytics. GeneXus 16, and this is a business dashboard. It's a dashboard where you can see KPIs of our solution, of our business. The one you're seeing is a dashboard that we prepared internally, linked to an application for the World Cup this year. The other thing I'm sorry, you can see it there now. That's a little bit more interesting if you see the graphs. Now, the other thing we did was to give the possibility to all query viewers to manage the aesthetics through the theme. So we improved the aesthetics of query viewers, and here in this dashboard you can integrate query viewers and data providers to have a dashboard linked to your solution very quickly. That's about experience. Let's move on to the second pillar now, and that is about integration, system integration, internal and external integration with the rest of the solutions that are built on GeneXus or not. And now the important and main thing here when we talk about integration is integration to take advantage of artificial intelligence capacities that IBM Watson, Microsoft CS, and SAP Leonardo solutions have. Now, we have an app in GeneXus 16 with the following functionalities linked to text processing, analysis of text, treatment of images, classification, face detection, or OCRs. You can take a photograph of a plate and then process the data linked to the number of that plate. Well, you can translate the text. I mean, those are the functions that are there and that are quite clear to see what each one of them can do. Or you can turn audio to text or vice versa. That's the first step for integration with artificial intelligence in GeneXus 16. Now, linked to this, we not necessarily using this app, you can make associations with the different engines, and there are talks about that in this event. And there is also a case where the, artificial intelligence was used to detect images. The second item linked to SAP Leonardo is that we worked in integration with all the SAP system. We've worked so hard there that we launched, or rather released, an edition of GeneXus that is particularly designed to all the SAP system. On the basis of that edition, you can extend the HANA RP, you can be connected with SAP HANA database, you can publish the applications in the SAP cloud, and you can take the advantages of SAP Leonardo. Basically, the applications are following a design system, a patterns of Fiori. So automatically you are generating the code as the SAP is expecting it to be. So that particular edition for that SAP ecosystem is the spearhead for any of you wishing to get clients or move towards that ecosystem or that community. The third integration item has to do with OData. OData is a protocol. It's based on REST, but it's a protocol whereby systems can show their data models so that third parties can interact with their system. So they would show that data model expresses identities, and you can make operations to up, down, load, and so on. Now, the new thing about GeneXus 16 is that a group of OData services can be imported, and when they are imported in GeneXus, they are not services. They are called data views, transactions, associated or linked to your knowledge base, and they are all linked to a data store. What happens there is that you may be working with for each with attributes. You drag the attributes, you work naturally as if they were entities of your own model. You can make all the operations, uploads, downloads, and so on, and using for each. That's an enormous advantage if you want to gain productivity when working with external services. And that's the path that we would like to continue using. You want to realize whether you're using the data from a table or from a service. They are all first class in GeneXus. We have made integrations with the streams internal to an application. We use sockets to make chats applications. We also use Apache Kafka. In the Panama Canal, for instance, Apache Kafka is used as an information hub where all the systems that the canal is using would upload information and on which they read information to take data. So one application would read data from the other app. They would exchange data through Apache Kafka. And they would make decisions on that basis. So we have an app in GeneXus 16 to read and record data in Apache Kafka. And then the other thing is notifications. We have worked to improve what we have for one signal. We've added one more notification provider. It is used in the Mexican League. You know, that application is done on GeneXus, and it sends between 15 and 20 million notifications after each one of the goals scored. So when they are scored, seconds later, they are in millions of devices. They are available in millions of these. That's the type of scale that you get with this type of ads. Then we add payment apps for the various providers and used in different parts of the world. Multi-experience integration. The third point is security. Security, to be able to govern the security of all these components and the security of all our solutions. One of the main assets is data. The data security, data protection, sensitive data protection, offline DB encryption, apps, obfuscations, and as regards the auth, given the capacity of GAM to be integrated to any OAuth provider, since you are already using it for security, now you simply have to configure it, and you would add the capacity that your users will be authenticated through, you know, like Office 365, LinkedIn, Instagram, anyone following the protocol of OAuth 0.2. The last part is generators. There are new generators in GeneXus 16. The first one is for Microsoft.NET Core. We have it for .NET Framework. Now we have it for .NET Core. It's more scalable. It's faster, and it runs on Linux. That's where Microsoft is focusing on. And so for this new platform, you can also generate it for this new Microsoft platform. And the other thing is for the Apple platform. There, on the basis of GeneXus 16, we have support for watchOS and tvOS. Those are two very important landmarks, and they add to the multi-experience I was talking about. There is a new version, one first version for this platform that I was talking about, but one further thing, it's not only for watchOS and tvOS in Apple, but as Ursula said earlier, on the 12th of September, Apple launched its first, or its new operating system and new devices. The GeneXus that was released today supports the latest Xcode for Apple. And it's for the latest watches by Apple and the latest devices. This is the fruit of the changes of the processes. Once they release something in our next release, we can also announce together that you are able to generate same thing for the latest technologies, and this is proof of it. This is everything you can do with GeneXus, but now let's look at the process. This has helped us a lot to launch and introduce new functionalities in GeneXus, and this is an invitation that you all come up for a DevOps culture. As you know, some parts of GeneXus are already built. with GeneXus. So we can talk and say things very clearly and tell you that you can use it to move forward very quickly. Once you want to have this type of process and integrate codes and release the code, you have to follow some steps in that process. You have to be able to stop the process whenever there are mistakes, not to release it. And therefore, Jenkins is a very useful tool. So you can have all that pipeline control, and there you can define the various steps of a release. It's integrated to GeneXus server, and it's the one they're going to be using, so that if there are any mistakes, the next version that is being built is not published until the mistake is corrected. The other important thing has to do with unit testing. Any developer with a knowledge base can add unit testing about knowledge, business components, and so on. It can not only be defined, but they can be run by the developer himself. So all this is focused on generating DevOps culture in organizations working with GeneXus. Now, to publish those solutions, we've worked a lot so that you can make a deployment to Docker or to any platform as a service, but also to serverless deployment. Serverless Lambda in Amazon is one of the things that you can do, and Amazon will only charge you when the function is being executed. If the function is not very much called, Amazon won't charge you anything for executing that function. It's not that there is a server, a dedicated server, or a server for which I'm charged per hour. I've got a function uploaded in Amazon, and that one is going to be charged for when it's used. Now, all this would be very fine, but it wouldn't be good if I have to spend months to adopt this version and take advantage of these new functionalities. And I think that this can be considered as one further functionality of GeneXus 16, and that is easy to adopt. And let me explain it in detail here. We've got two channels, a beta channel and a preview channel for releasing versions. Every night we would upload this one. They are published according to their quality criteria, and this changes from a beta channel to a preview channel. Quality standard is much higher for a preview than for a beta release. So we would add features or fixes to the beta channel, and as we stabilize them and they comply with security policies or quality or what is generated, there are no compatibility problems. As they comply with all those characteristics, they may be integrated to the preview line. Now, in the preview channel, apart from releasing them daily, a new version is published every day, every 2 months upgrades are released. And that's how upgrade 11 and upgrade 12, and that's how we've released GeneXus 16. And this is how upgrade 1 of GeneXus 16, most certainly in the afternoon, version 1 will be liberated. The upgrade 1 will be generated, will be released. So that's why we say that any upgrade of GeneXus 16 will be as easy as the upgrade of GeneXus 15. If you've done this upgrade, you will see how easy it is, and you'll be able to take advantage of this new version. So, my friends, what we want to do is to create GeneXus on which you can build and create and evolve and maintain your software in an unprecedented manner automatically. That's our mission. That's what we're trying to do with GeneXus 16. But one further thing. we have to invite you. We have to invite you to experience the power of doing. This is our invitation to you. Please experience it. Thank you.